Minerva the Red Dragon has a wonderful stat line and so many different ways that you can go with her, so how do you build her the best way? You and I are buried to find out. Greetings and salutations, my name is Deltran, helping you build killing machines so you can dominate in PvP and special hero battles. If you want any help earning all the orbs and feathers and heroes that the game throws at you every week, consider hitting that subscribe button. Getting her digits, 158 is her BST, and she has a wonderful attack and defense compared to her contemporaries. That defense really is pretty darn good, and if we take a look here, it looks like the only people really beating us out on a lot of the different fronts is her brother, Michaelis, but he's a Grand Hero Battle unit, so, you know, we can go ahead and ignore him and just carry on our merry way. Whenever we look at what she swings with, she also has Aunt Claire, same thing as Michaelis, giving us that cooldown decrease and a wonderful, wonderful 16 might and life and death. There we go. That's how we're going to break out from underneath the shadow of our brother. Life and death is going to give us 5 to attack at speed and drop our defenses by 5, so that's a thing. And of course we have Sacred Cowl up there. I ignored it because most people do, and honestly on the flyer it seems a little weird, but you know, hey, it is usable, and she can try to tank some magic if she didn't have life and death. So we're just talking about all the awkward parts of her kit. But she does have ward flyers, and that's going to help out quite a lot whenever you put her into flying teams. If not, you can always downgrade her down to spur defense too, to at least help out some people who aren't of the winged variety. Let's take a look at the Obituaries. This is the first video where we're using the new rating system. Instead of showing you wins, losses, and draws, we're going to talk about 3 different categories and rate them on a scale of A to F, with S being incredible. The first category there on the left is being aggressive. This is if you're just going straight after the enemy. She does rather well. B+ there. She does the worst against red. Stay away from red, please. But otherwise she takes care of all the blue, and she does rather well against green and gray. The middle one there is duelist. If you're trying to go back and forth with somebody, if you're not going to stay hit and run or do something like that, this is where we're at. Does even worse against red because she's letting them hit them back. Otherwise, there's a couple of blue that can sort of withstand her assault back and forth if you let them actually do that, and green can put up quite a bit of a fight, but And the last category there is blocker. This is her wall capability, and thanks to life and death, we should have saw this one coming. She's not really that great of a wall. She'll be able to block this or that, and she'll be able to hold off blue well enough, but otherwise just don't do that. We see some faces here that give us some trouble, and we shouldn't be surprised about the faces that give us trouble. As far as people we can go after, hey, I think I see some wonderful faces there to go after, so that is good news. See, it's just so perplexing about Minerva. She has a really, really solid attack line. She has a Claire so that she has a wonderful hit. Life and death is there. I mean, there's just so much going for her. I mean, Sacred Cowl is there, but whatever. We'll talk about that in a moment. But regardless, and she still has an okay defense. Not a great defense anymore, but an okay defense. So why does she seem so awkward sometimes? She doesn't seem to want to kill things as quickly as what you might expect. She doesn't seem to want to defend things very well. So what does she do? Well, here's the thing with when you have her on the field, especially in PvP, your opponent has a problem, because they are going to face an awkward situation just the same. They're going to see that they're not going to die to Minerva, but they're not going to kill her, which means the retaliatory attack is going to be murder. And that's where Minerva likes to put people. They put them in this awkward spot where they just can't seem to win. The ratings that we are seeing for her show that through continued assault, she ends up winning a lot of the time, and she's a pretty decent duelist. Not the best in the game, but she's also a pretty decent duelist. When it comes down to it, Minerva is a great unit. Some people sort of put her back burner because she can't one-hit kill too many things, and that is a mistake, because what Minerva lets you do is it lets you buy time, and it lets you clog things up a little bit. Also, sometimes it just doesn't matter if you have somebody else around there. there's a lot of different things that you can do with a unit like Minerva where you know she's going to win. And just because it's not immediate doesn't mean that she's a lost cause. As a matter of fact, a lot of people do frontline Minerva to great effect, because in PvP, if you put her on your defensive team, you are making your opponent face that very awkward situation where they have to dedicate their red sword unit to go over there and fight Minerva. And if there's another green unit that they're trying to split their time amongst, or if there's a blue unit standing there guarding Minerva, then it becomes a real challenge for your opponent. So she's very creative in that way. Now, if you treat her very aggressively, you're going to love it. But once again, using her default kit, she's not a good defender. You would think that 27 would be okay, but with 40 hit points, that's going to get whittled down fast. Not to mention, archers are all the rage right now, and she's not going to be able to take a hit from an archer. Doesn't matter what you do for her, she's just not going to take a hit from an archer. There's a couple of things you can do, but it's not worth the investment, because then she loses all of her power. So when it comes down to it, you have to make sure that you treat Minerva's bulk just as a secondary bonus. You need to just go straight into the enemy with her, and then just wreck face everywhere. Like that one, the one behind you, all of the faces, just wrecked. That's what you want to do. Let's talk about some cheap upgrades real quick. Of course, she's missing an assist, and so reposition's what's going to go in there. Not many people would argue on that one. You can put in hit and run for her missing B slot. That's going to help her dodge in there, smack somebody, and run away. I think that that's a great use for a B slot for her, although she does run desperation rather well with her high speed thanks to life and death. It's not perfect, but if you need to keep her around for a very long time and don't have support in the team for her, desperation lets her go rogue and just be a one-woman army for a while. Shield Pulse is fun if you want to leverage all the defensiveness there. You can actually get a lot of sustainability out of her. Wouldn't necessarily call it a huge winning move, but it is a thing. And if you're looking for some replacement skills, Luna is a great special to throw onto her, as is Pavase. You can also go with Growing Wind, and that is a good one because it hits a nice area, everybody around. She has a decent hit. It's going to more than likely help you kill the person you're attacking, and it's going to damage everybody else around. If you combine that with something like Hit and Run, then you just basically trample a bunch of people for what they feel like is no reason and run away. And I personally prefer gold flyers on most of my flyers, so that's what I'm recommending to you now. We're going to take a look at two builds, and this one's a Swift Sparrow build. This one is nice because it ends up being really, really good on the aggressive end. We're going to put Swift Sparrow on her, give her guard 3 so that she can reduce the cooldown of all of her enemies that she fights, which is going to help us stick around. Reposition, gold flyers, and that's there. We're very good on the aggressive front. If you go ahead and just continue to hammer hone that aggressiveness, you're going to do super, super well. You even catch up on a lot of reds that you can get rid of from the battlefield, which is nice. It lets her be a multifaceted unit like that. Still terrible defense, as you can see on the far right. D for blocking overall. I don't think that there's any red that won't kill us in due time anyway. So, just don't do that. And, of course, dueling back and forth. We're not really getting that much improvement out of that situation using this build. We're not going to go into the DPT with this particular build because we're going to go into the DPT with the next build, which is actually what I would recommend, especially if you're going to make somebody who you want to put on your defensive team. This particular Minerva here uses Fury 3 instead of anything Life and Death or anything like that. And then Vantage 3 is there to cause us a lot of problems. As I mentioned before, one of the things with Minerva is that she's in this awkward position where she doesn't necessarily always kill everybody, but you're not going to be able to kill her super easily. And that shows here. A lot of red can still do the job against her in this particular build, but otherwise she's standing strong against pretty much everybody there if she's going aggressive. And even if it's dueling back and forth, then we're doing well. If you're trying to use her as a wall, well, on defensive teams, computers won't use her as a wall. They're going to use her at least in an aggressive, if not duelist nature. So that's going to help you out quite a lot. I do recommend Vantage as opposed to any kind of hit and run in this particular instance, simply because the computer is going to not take great advantage of hit and run. It's not going to let you actually get out of the way that often. So you might as well have Vantage there so that you can go ahead and create some really, really interesting choices for your opponent and hopefully make them screw up. As far as the DPT on this one, it's not too bad. We're looking at 10 and 7 on offense, 2 and 11 on defense out of 28, and there's the breakdown right there in front of you. We're killing off Reinhardt on offense. We're also getting rid of Brave Ike, which is great. Stay away from Red, stay away from Hector, do not initiate on Hector, and stay away from yourself. You just can't win against yourself in PvP arena, especially if they have buffs. Now if you get buffs, then hey, all bets are off, and then you're a little more on equal ground there. Otherwise, there's a lot of units you don't get rid of. Don't bother going after Brave Lynn. It's not going to work out well for you. As far as how things look whenever we are on the defense, yeah, there's our 2 wins. Enjoy? Otherwise, a lot of people punk us down, and a lot of people don't kill us. Reinhardt doesn't kill us, which is great. And using the build that we have in the DPT, Black Knight, Ike, and Ryoma, and Xander don't kill us, even though they're red, so that's pretty good. And Cecilia's even there. So when it comes down to it, this is one of the reasons why Minerva is such a force in PvP arena, is because she can withstand a heck of a lot of punishment. You have to dedicate specific units in order to kill her. Otherwise, she's going to cause you lots and lots of problems. And hey, do me a favor, if you like your Fire Emblem information hot and fresh like Grandma's cookies, hit that subscribe button. My name is Deltran. Thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate all of you. And until next time, take it.